Monday morning, Mourning turns into the Tuesday realization that football is now firmly planted in our rear view. The 2023 season wrapped up with a wild Super Bowl for the ages. A snoozy first half begat a wild second half and an unpredictable overtime that, well, one of the teams wasn't even well-versed in the rules and new adjustments for. Your Kansas City Chiefs, the new dynasty, and we are now firmly and officially on to the 2024 season here on Six Rings and Football Things, brought to you by our friends at the FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel, make every moment more. Log on today, fanduel.com/6rings to take advantage of their same game parlays, no sweat first bets, and so much more. It is our latest and greatest episode. As always, Nick Fitzy Stevens and Andy Jumbo Hart talking about the end of the football season, what this Chiefs dynasty means for the New England Patriots and their previous double dynastic efforts. And then we'll do a little Pat's Puri at the end and catch you up on the rest of the news, notes, and nuggets and happenings in Patriots Nation. All right, Hart, I just want to put this out there. This is going to shock you. I think this is legitimately going to stone cold stun you when I say this. But it's not my gift. This is my message to Patriots fans, Pats Nation, and beyond. Number one, you can appreciate, you can respect, you can admire, you can even enjoy the greatness, this mid-Jordan run of Patrick Mahomes, who is currently by far and away the best player, I think, in all the major North American sports, let alone professional football. You can enjoy, appreciate, admire, respect, and be thrilled by Patrick Mahomes without feeling like you're cheating on Tom Brady, everybody. It's okay. Let's all just enjoy. I know you're probably thinking, like, here comes a Fitzy, you people whining about Mahomes isn't Brady yet. I don't think he is. Maybe he takes 10 years off, starts a second dynasty with a different coach and new talent. Then we can all just stand in complete awe. I don't want to do the stats and the comps. All I do know is that I know what kind of run the Patriots had for 20 years. I'm so comfortable in how great it was and what a gift it was to all Boston sports fans and Pats Nation around the world. And I can admire what the Chiefs have done without it affecting how I feel about the Patriots. I would just warn them this: be careful, because now is when it gets real interesting. Now it's going to get hot for Chiefs fans. Chiefs Kingdom, be ready for the haters. Be ready for the detractors. Be ready for everyone to want you to fail. There could even be a scandal or a gate in your future as well. We know this all too well because we were there for 20 years, and it was glorious all the way.
So, Fitzy, I always tell you, we watch sports for entertainment. We watch it for greatness. We want to see things that are at levels we even struggle to fathom, right? Like, we don't want to see run-of-the-mill. And in an ideal world, we see that all come together for our team, whatever sport it is. And it did for 20 years. You were the kings of the mountains. You saw things you could never have envisioned. 6 Super Bowl titles, 9 Super Bowl trips, the whole thing. We all know the numbers, the accomplishments, the success. But again, if you can't have that, and you're not going to always have that, you can't have that forever. I always think that whether you choose to make the person a villain or not, it's great to have greatness in sports. I think the worst part of sports is when you go ho-hum year to year. Oh, another team won. I can't imagine they'll be back next year because they're really not that good. I'm not really even sure how they won this year. I think that is terrible for sports. I want dominant teams that are up. I want Mike Tyson, because then I want to root for Buster Douglas to come along, right? Like, you want to have the dream of the upset and or simply the passing of the baton. Like, oh my God, this team's great, but there's another team building that looks like they could be great. And maybe there's going to be a crossing of paths here, a down and an up, and they crisscross. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm not passionate enough about my local roots and ties and teams and all that, but I want greatness. And I think Patrick Mahomes, he's developed some things that annoy me. I'm getting a little sick of this. When he's waiting for the play call and he does that weird finger thing, like he's having some spasm or
is that his equivalent to like when Jeter used to do like the elbow fist pump up here, and you're just like, oh my God, I'd love to break that arm right off at that elbow. Yes.
But even more annoying because it's weird. But
he's a unique cat. I think we can
100%.
We've never heard anyone like him. No one looks like him. Nobody plays like him. And that's what makes it fun, sometimes infuriating, but also, like you said, easy to admire, but soon probably easy to root against.
Absolutely. Especially, some people have already believing that there are scripts and conspiracy theories and whatevers. And I mean, we had a text at the station yesterday that somebody thought this was a DEI initiative that the Chiefs win, like some global DEI initiative.
Get out of here. What are we doing? People, we are all losing our GD minds. And yes, everyone thought it was scripted because Taylor Swift has made the NFL close to $500 million this year. The ratings came in Monday night. I'm not sure if you've heard at large audience, but 123.5 million people watched, a 10% increase over last year, which was the highest rated Super Bowl of all time. And when you count unique watches, the Paramount Plus and CBS streams, over 200 million people at one point or another partook in consumption of Super Bowl 58. That's massive.
And a quick aside, Tony Romo takes a beating, but I listened to a replay of Patrick and SpongeBob on their call of the game-winning touchdown. They were terrible. So get off Tony Romo's back. Patrick and SpongeBob sucked.
I do enjoy the Nickelodeon alt cast in a lot of ways. It's fun. I didn't even realize it was going on at the time. Part of me wishes I had set up a second TV like 80s, 90s, early 2000s style before we had picture-in-picture Andy and we could, or like a laptop and a TV, and we had to consume things the old-fashioned way, splitting the rabbit ears and whatnot. Just so every now and again I could have toggled over that to the kids, because I'm sure there were probably kids in a lot of people's Super Bowl party first halves. Then they all go home and go to bed, and then the adults do the dirty work in the second half. By the way, long-ass Super Bowl with the overtime, the 40-minute Usher, Starlight Express, Globo Gym routine. It was like 4.5 hours.
Yeah, and it was. You mentioned the kids going home at halftime. I feel bad for them because the game kind of sucked that the kids saw then, because it didn't really take off until the second half and the overtime and the misunderstood overtime. And, oh, my God, the clock is running out. What's going to happen here? Nope. They told you we started a new game, so they'll just play the second quarter of overtime, just like they're playing the first quarter. And that's where I did, like, I thought this was a bad Super Bowl early. Like, I was sort of disinterested in the game, the way, because, you always get that debate. Oh, so you don't like defensive battles? No, I didn't really think it was a defensive battle. I didn't think the offenses were very good. I thought you had a couple fumbles by running backs that weren't like these hellacious hits or anything like that.
McCaffrey fumbling after 400 plus touches without a fumble was a stunner as well. And then Pacheco was like, I got you, bro. Don't worry. You're not going to be the only one.
Yeah. So it was, I just didn't think it was great football early. So that would be one of my takeaways. And then it's funny because we know it's a quarterback-driven league. The quarterback's always going to be the story for both teams, the quarterback and the coach. And let's go into those. So I hear like Brock Purdy hate, and I'm like, I thought Brock Purdy played well enough to win. I thought Brock Purdy could have won the game. I thought he missed a couple throws, but everybody misses a couple throws in a game here or there. He also made some really ballsy throws. There was a throw late, the crosser to Debo, that was a tight window, hits Debo in the hands, and Debo didn't catch it. He flipped it up, and it almost got picked by the linebacker or the safety. So if I'm a 49ers fan, I don't think Brock Purdy fell on his face. Now, I will say, Brock Purdy didn't step up and win the Super Bowl, just like Colin Kaepernick didn't step up and win the Super Bowl, just like Jimmy Garoppolo didn't step up and win the Super Bowl. They have a now decade-plus track record of we don't have the guy to get us over the hump when we're in the big game.
It's so funny to think because I think we all focus on Kyle Shanahan's misgivings and inability to come through when he has a 10-point plus lead in a Super Bowl, which is true. Once as offensive coordinator for the Falcons, Super Bowl 51, you know how that turned out as well. And then now twice, 54 and 58 as the HC of the SF 49ers, and he's blown a 10-point lead or more. Now the last two, of course, against the Chiefs. But then when you factor in San Francisco's recent tortured history, over the last 11 years, they've been to 3 Super Bowls, had a chance to win them all, and blown it respectively in a different way. And as far as, so that I can understand the frustration of the 49ers fans after this game as well, because it's been right there on multiple occasions and it's just been stripped away and taken from you. I will say this to anybody who thinks that Brock Purdy ain't it, Brock Purdy's not good enough, that he doesn't deserve the starting gig in San Francisco, should look elsewhere. His QBR was that, I think if you combine Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson's, like his was commensurate to both of those combined. He played better than any other quarterback, had a better rating than any QB against the vastly underrated Kansas City defense that played their ass off all postseason long. I think the kid's good. If anything, you have to blame Kyle Shanahan. If we have to assess who gets the majority or the largest slice of blame pie, it's Shanahan. Not only for not for calling a pass when he should have called a run and calling a run when he should have called a pass, and certainly not leaning on McCaffrey. You've got the second best offensive player in the NFL on your team. Lean on this dude for the second half. Grind some clock, advance the ball, maybe, God forbid, score another touchdown as well. But he also didn't turn Purdy loose with his legs. Andy, he was so good running the ball against the Packers and especially against the Lions in the second half of the NFC Championship. He only had 3 carries for like 11, 12 yards. You should have turned him loose for sure. But when Purdy was asked in the fourth quarter to lead the 49ers down the field after the turnover on the fumble and the turnover on the punt and everything, they scored a touchdown and then they scored a field goal. And then they scored again in overtime. So that was 3 consecutive drives where Brock Purdy led the 49ers on a scoring drive. I don't want to hear anyone besmirch Brock Purdy or say he was the reason the 49ers lost.
No, but they're out there. Those people are out there. And I even wonder if Shanahan will be one of them. He seems to be one of those non-committed QB whisperers that always thinks, maybe I don't have the right quarterback. Maybe if I just had the right quarterback, that kind of mentality, where I think he should just appreciate Brock Purdy, and we'll see where his career evolves, obviously. But he was good, but Mahomes was great. And the situation is great. There is a difference there. And the situation that was created by Kyle Shanahan's lack of knowledge of the rules and lack of knowledge of what I think is an obvious decision. I think, I said this with Gresh on our airwaves yesterday. Everybody said, like, there was some argument, and maybe even Shanahan said it himself, like, we didn't have any, information to go on. There's no analytics to follow for this situation because it's never happened before. Analytics? You don't need analytics. You need common sense. You need to just look at a situation. I think any consultant, you could just take a consultant from like a totally different industry who's probably never seen a football game and say, okay, here's the situation. Here are the options. And I think that guy would be like, so if we take the ball first, the other team can match and better anything we do. If we take it second, we can be the team to match or better anything that the other team did. Oh, I think we should do that. That sounds like a better situation.
And now we're going to know whether or not we have to go 4 downs at any point in the field. And so the greatest mistake made, in addition to not informing all of your players as to how the new postseason NFL overtime rules work, is giving Patrick Mahomes the drive to go 4 downs. 4th and 1. Of course, what do you think he's going to do? Step back and throw the ball to Justin Watson? It was the best play call in the whole friggin' Super
season.
Bowl.
Of the season. You know me. I believe in stars. I believe stars win in the postseason. So, like, when the money's on the line, it's Brady to Edelman despite double coverage. It's Brady to Gronk, who's a shell of himself, but I'll still take my chances that shell will catch ball and win me
Haas
games.
wide juke for life, bro.
I freaking love when teams just say, I got these guys for a reason. I'm going to live and die with my guys. And I think it's an unstoppable play. You roll out Patrick Mahomes with Kelsey in the flat. Like, he either goes bloop to Kelsey or you put defenders in defenseless positions. Like the old damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's that situation. And that's that right there. It's so simple too. Like, that's a high school play. That is not an NFL, like, oh my God, these guys work so hard to scheme and come up with, like, no, they ran a high school play that's about as simple as you can.
Because they've got a quarterback who can run when he needs to, but chooses not to all the time because he wants to extend his career. But in a gotta have it moment,
and he's fat.
You want? Yeah, and he's got a dad bod. But man, he can still scoot for a dude who looks like he's been working at Awaken Andy Reid for the last couple months. Damn, he's just something in the game-winning play as well. Freaking McCole Hardman didn't even know that it was a game-winning touchdown until Mahomes jumped on his back and said, "You just won the Super Bowl." Like,
you know who did? You know, my favorite part of that play is, so they kind of use Kelsey as a decoy there. He's the inside, and Ben and a couple guys trend with him, as I would, by the way. Don't let Kelsey beat you with the game on the line. Make somebody else do it, and they did.
God, please no.
But like, as soon as the play is unfolding, Kelsey's like this, looking up at the big board with his hand. He knows we just won. Like, you're not stopping this. We just won. You didn't cover it. So give them credit. Like, they are the Chiefs. They're the best team on the planet. And yes, you people need to accept or hate or fight or whatever. They are you.
They're not going to be better than the dynasty. They're not better than Tommy and Bell. Like, guys,
they probably won't be.
They probably won't be.
Like, the reality
right
is,
up there next to it, like, they might
Andy Reid only, first of all, Andy Reid has said he'll be back. So he's not retiring. So Belichick's not going.
And Kelsey's got one more year left in the tank as well.
The whole thing. And they should. Yep. They're going for history. They want to be the first team, like Brady coming back from the Super Bowl when he goes, hey, guys, no one's ever done it 3 times. Well, that's Patrick Mahomes, who, what was his words? Like, we're just getting started, or we're just starting the dynasty, because it is a dynasty. Right. It's officially a dynasty.
It is. It is a dynasty. The Patriots are the dynasty because they're the only one to do it back to back. This is now a dynasty. You had Packers, Steelers, 49ers, Cowboys, Pats, and now Chiefs. Just accept it. It is, like, literally, folks, this is what the definition of it is, what it is all about. The Chiefs are a dynasty, and good for them.
But you seem to be, and I don't know if you're putting on a performance to hide the tears behind your eyes.
No, I can appreciate what the Patriots were and what they did more when you see how much work and how much greatness goes into it. Like, I know our place in history as Patriots fans, people that cataloged the entire incredible run. Like, I'm comfortable with it. I don't know if this is like midlife softness or whatever on my behalf, but like, I'm beyond comfortable with this.
Well, good, because I'm condescendingly proud of you at this moment for accepting it this way.
Well, thank you. Condescendingly proud. Perfectly put by you, you son of
a. But there are people that aren't taking it that way. And I'm with you. Like, when you look at it, yes, he's on a better track. He's on a better pace.
He very well could be at 6 straight AFC championships to start a career. Holy
And he's
smoke.
got no shot. And I'm going to tell you the 2 reasons I think he has no shot. Beyond the obvious that 7's an effing lot of Super Bowls to win. And I give you're tied into Brady. So I know that's the Brady. The 6 is the Patriots first and that whole thing. But first of all, I don't envision Mahomes being maniacal enough to continue this run, to give up his life, to do, like, he's got a wife and kids. And I think at some point he's going to lose a little bit of the fire. But more importantly, at some point, what we just talked about, he's going to lose Andy Reid. I don't know if it's after the 4th Super Bowl, they go out on top, whatever. He's going to have to make the transition sooner in his career. And that's going to be the biggest challenge. Who does he, because what I think about Andy Reid.
Most underrated coach, and he's the best coach of this generation now.
Knocking on the door of GOAT talk and all those things.
Okay, let me just, because I know we want to tie this back up to the Patriots a little bit before we rock on to Pat's Pre. Let me just say this right now. The only nightmare scenario I can envision is if Andy Reid comes back for one more season with Kelsey, and they win it, and they make the only three-peat of all time, right?
Yep.
And now Mahomes has 4. And then Bill Belichick is like, that would kill me. That would kill me. If Belichick takes a year off to do TV, and the way he gets back into the NFL is by doing 3 years with Patrick Mahomes and extending that. I mean, you want to talk about just watching my entrails be spiraled out onto the floor. That would be like being massacred in an Eli Roth horror movie.
Or those country songs that I always point to, the guy driving by his former house where he's like, that's my truck, that's my dog, that's my tree that I planted, but that's not me in that house.
Like Revenge of the Nerds. Hey, that's my pie. Like, no, like that would be awful. That would be, I just wanted to put it out there. No, it's not happening, people. Not that I know of, not that any one of us, it's just rampant speculation. I'm saying, like, that would be legitimately like an extinction level event for Patriots Nation. But that said, like, yeah, they may do it, but I'm with you, dude. Like, Mahomes at one point will just probably be like, I got a new coach. It's harder without the same coach as a brilliant play designer. I lost my best football friend in Kelsey. Like, there will be a step back. Plus, just even for next year, AFC West gets tougher. Harbaugh's there. Denver will likely be a little bit better. Raiders seem to be sort of tightening the ship and forming a plan for themselves as well. We'll see how that works out. But also, team with like the 4th most free agency money to spend, Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow's going to be back. I bet they tag T. Higgins to prevent him from going to the Chiefs or to the Patriots or somewhere else. They're going to run it back. They'll be there tooth and nail the rest of the way for a while. Buffalo's kind of I think things are a little messy for Buffalo right now, but don't be surprised if it's Burrow versus Mahomes again at the tail end of next season. We'll see if Lamar is heard from. It's just that much more difficult. And the first person who could tell you that would be the Dun King himself, Tom Brady. All right. Great Super Bowl. It is a dynasty. It's not the dynasty. Quick reminder, everybody. Thanks for listening to Six Rings of Football Things. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. We're here all off season long building the latest, greatest, and bestest Patriots sports talk community. Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern time, our Valentine's gift to you, an unfiltered, live Six Rings and Football Things. Our one-off Wednesday this week will be with author Jeff Benedict, who wrote The Dynasty, the book upon which the Apple Plus TV series is based on, and it premieres this Friday with a 2-episode premiere on Apple Plus TV. Jeff's kind enough to give us some books to give away as well. You know what? If you're listening right now and you need a book, I got a stack of them that Jeff and Simon and Schuster were kind enough to share. Shoot me a DM at FitzyGFY. Tell me why you need a copy. I'll put a couple in the mail this week just to make sure you guys are well-versed in what The Dynasty was all about. But Wednesday, Valentine's Day, 4 p.m., Hart and I will have a nice long chat with Jeff Benedict. We'll be taking your questions. You're not going to want to miss it. All right, Andy, back end of the Six Rings of Football Things podcast, catching up after Super Bowl 58. We are already on to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans.
The Chiefs are the front end, and the Patriots are now appropriately the back end of our podcast.
And so the Chiefs are like the horse face, and we're the horse ass.
We're the horse's ass now in New England. That hurts. That hurts.
Oh, it does. All right, let's just rifle through some of the latest news, notes, and nuggets from the nation. Sunday, in his Super Bowl edition of the Rap Sheet News and Notes, he said that Mac Jones now officially a likely trade candidate for the New England Patriots. Mac, of course, shows up in workout gear to Gerard Mayo's intro presser. I guess that's Thunder style for Mac Jones. He's been posting photos of working out at the gym, says he's put on 6 to 8 pounds of muscle since the season. All that good stuff. Great. Do you think Mac Jones deserves a shot out from underneath the umbrella of disdain that was his relationship with Bill Belichick and the, shall we say, the roof of ineptitude that was, or just the house of ineptitude that was the Judge and Patricia offense of 2022? Because I think it's Fresh Start City, and he's going to be somewhere else by the time we take our first snap of the 2024 season.
I think he has to be. I just don't see it being functional for anyone, salvageable. And I don't mean his career. His career may be salvageable elsewhere with a different coach in a different situation, with some time spent in the background where you weren't a first-round pick, where you weren't a Pro Bowl rookie, where you didn't butt heads with Bill Belichick or whatever went on there. Like this, it's the perfect change of scenery. Now, I don't think it's a guarantee he'll be good, and that's why I have been posing the question, because elsewhere in the football world, similar reports have emanated from New York that Zach Wilson, even though there was this dream idea that he would sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a couple years and that would fix him, sounds like Zach Wilson could also be moved this offseason. Would you make the swap? Would you simply trade Mac Jones for Zach Wilson?
Yes.
In a heartbeat, I would do it.
And that's not to say that I'm in love with Zach Wilson. That's not to say that, like, oh my God, what are you nuts? You want the Jets? You want the Jets sloppy seconds? No, I just think that sometimes it's one of those deals where it's like, this was effed up for you here. This was screwed up for you here. Let's each take, like, go to each other's respective curbside, try to see if we can salvage this. And if not, what's the big deal?
And, you put a depth chart together. That's maybe Zach Wilson, Jaden Daniels, Jacoby Brissett. Hell, maybe Bailey Zappi's the fourth when camp starts. Maybe you have those four guys just battling it out, repping it out. And maybe I cut Zach Wilson. Maybe I cut Bailey Zappi. I don't know how the competition would play out, but there was a time where some people with NFL credentials thought Zach Wilson was a very much high-end talent with modern capabilities.
Let me tell you where I think, can I tell you where I think Zach Wilson could and should go?
Kansas City. No, I'm being dead serious. I'd be interested.
Okay. All right. I'll give you two spots.
There's no better professional to learn from. And there is a similar capability, mindset. I'm not comparing Zach Wilson to Mahomes, obviously, but he can make throws that Mahomes can make, and maybe
That's what they kept calling him out of BU. Like the next one that can run all over the field, arm slots, arm
And
angles,
Andy
unique
Reid's a
delivery.
great coach, an offensive coach. You put him with Reid and Mahomes, and maybe they just buff up that turd, and there's a pearl underneath.
Strip it all the way down back to just his raw ability. Forget like everything that's happened to you since you were with the Jetropolitans. Forget all that noise and nonsense.
Forget your mother's friends.
Yeah, I know exactly. I don't know exactly what the MILF quotient is like out there in Kansas City. I apologize to anyone who's offended by my usage of MILF.
Who's offended by MILF?
I don't know. It's a weird world where people just look to get offended around every corner. I don't know.
I thought everybody loved MILFs.
All right.
I mean, love it.
All right. Hey, Terp, save that drop. The two places I could see him going. One is Kansas City. Great call. The other one, oddly enough, with another somebody who's good with working with, shall we say, arm talented, undersized quarterbacks who could be a little soft and that feel broken, that need to be built back up again. Miami.
Okay. I don't hate it.
What if he was to his back and Mike McDaniel was like, I'm going to teach you how to play offense. I'm going to be in your ear. Look what I've done with Tua. If Tua gets broken, I'm going to draft you up so that you can be my new Tua just in case this doesn't work out. Like, either way, those are the best spots, I think, for Zach. New England, no, it wouldn't work out. But would I pull the Mac for Zach switch? Yeah, I would.
The only reason I don't hate the Miami idea, the only reason I don't love the Miami idea is because Tua is a replaceable quarterback in the minds of some and many, and I think even some Dolphins fans. And you are planting a physically talented person behind him for that old theory that the most popular guy in town is the backup quarterback. And, maybe Zach Wilson gets in garbage time or even in the preseason, and you see the good Zach Wilson slinging it all over the field. And suddenly Miami fans are like, wait a minute, is this guy more talented than Tua? Could this guy do more damage than Tua? You might create a weird controversy, but it's interesting. I think, who do you think has more NFL upside remaining in their careers, Mac Jones or Zach Wilson?
Zach Wilson.
I do too.
He needs a complete reprogramming. We're talking about like unplugging, rebooting, him getting into somebody else's matrix or operating system, and maybe he shouldn't play it all next year. And
probably shouldn't.
And
that's if you go play behind Mahomes, you won't. If you sit behind Mahomes, in all likelihood, knock on wood for them, you won't play.
Oh, I like it. Wow, look at us. Again, you know what? Someone's going to take snake this, make it theirs. You'll hear this on the herd in 3 days. You know where you heard it first. You're welcome. And my three likely spots for Mac Jones would be Minnesota, Denver, and San Francisco.
Minnesota, Denver. I think San Francisco is the front runner because I did a little research yesterday. I guess Darnold's contract is up, and they tried to do the Darnold rehab thing last year. Now they can do the Mac rehab thing. We know they liked Mac and were interested. I think San Francisco is, and we know there's a working relationship between the organizations. Now, I don't know how much that devolved or evolved with Bill leaving, how many calls Matt Groh has made to John Lynch in his career or Elliot Wolf has made to John Lynch in his career. But I think that's the most likely landing spot.
Couldn't agree more. All right. Some other things going on. Let's see. What do we got? We have a new assistant wide receivers coach without an actual wide receivers coach on the 2024 New England Patriots. High top fades for everyone. The man most famous for two of the most random things during the 2011 season. One, being the receiver that was undercut on a Tom Brady interception, which precipitated the infamous battle royale between Brady and Bill O'Brien on the sidelines in Washington, and the guy who was unfortunately cut the night before Super Bowl 46 so the Patriots could add some defensive line depth. Tyquan Underwood returns to Patriot Nation now as an assistant wide receivers coach. That's cool. Okay, great. I know he's been coaching. Maybe he's terrific at it. Maybe that's his true calling. I don't know much more about it. All I do know is it's just weird to hire an assistant wide receivers coach before you have an actual wide receivers coach, right?
Unless you still have a wide receivers coach, unless Troy Brown is the wide receivers coach. I know a lot of people.
We haven't heard yet. Okay.
You people want to run him out of town, which is weird.
I see there's a lot of people that do want to run him out of town. People keep blaming him for the performance of the wide receivers. I don't. He's been off coaching at the East-West Shrine game, the Senior Bowl. Obviously, people respect his offensive acumen and football intelligence elsewhere. I can't blame him single-handedly for Devontae Parker not being able to separate from people and for, Pop Douglas being quick but slight of frame, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I feel really bad when I criticize Troy or question. I don't even want to say criticize. Question Troy Brown's contributions.
How dare you?
Because I love Troy Brown. Great player, great guy, great everything. I don't know if he's a great coach. Certainly the development or the maximization of the receiver talent may have been lacking there. Whatever the talent was, I think we all know it's not great talent, but did they get the most out of their talent? It's hard to argue. I will say, I was never overly impressed with his explanations when he had to do the Zoom calls with the media. There was definitely something lacking there that I didn't love. And this is, I'm just going to put it out there for whatever it's worth. Overly critical. They may hate me. The two people that I always found having the least impressive answers and explanations during those Zooms were Troy Brown and Cam Accord. I just
don't ever put the two of them in the same sentence again, unless it was both of them worked for the 2023 Patriots.
I'm just they didn't come off as like, wow, this guy knows his crap. Even if it's not going well, I have a lot of faith that he knows what he's doing. I never got that vibe from them ever. And obviously Cam Accord already out. I don't know if Troy Brown's going to be out, but it is weird to have Tyquan, although putting together a decent team if our coaches ever have to play.
Yeah, I mean, we can call half of these guys in. You could get Covington. Hell, Jeremy Springer can probably give you a couple of runs on special.
That'd be reason to keep Troy as the wide receivers coach. Because
maybe if Troy spends a little less time getting yoked in the gym and working the playbook, and then maybe he'll. I mean,
look good, coach good.
I know. Now, who knows if he's going to be back? That is could be a hand tip that he's going to be back, but it'd be curious to see when and if the Patriots do announce, like, okay, everybody, Elliott Wolf is in fact our general manager, and Troy Brown will return as wide receivers coach. Obviously, he and Mayo have known each other for quite some time as well. We'll see where that goes. Any other positions that need addressing, or rather posts, Andy, because Drew Wilkins, who served as the outside linebackers coach in recent year for both the Ravens and the Giants, has now been hired as the outside linebackers coach with your New England Patriots. Outside linebackers coach was that officially Steve Belichick's title, or was that Gerard Mayo's title?
Gerard was inside, Steve was outside.
Okay, those were their technical titles when it was more like co-defensive coordinators and play. Okay.
Right. So I think running back is still a question with Vinny Sunseri.
Because Sunseri went to Washington.
You still have the question of Troy. Is he still the wide receivers coach? Is he not the wide receivers coach? You still have Brian. You still have Pellegrino. The staff is coming together. The staff is starting to, fill out the roles, and that's good because, they need to be scouting and working with the scouting department to pick players for their styles of play.
Do we need a tight ends coach? Because TC McCartney, last I'd heard, was being courted for the quarterbacks coach position, and Will Lawing, last year's tight ends coach, previously occupied by Nick Caley in 2022 and years past, he is now following Bill O'Brien to the BC Eagles to be Billy O's OC for the Eagles.
Yeah. It seems like you need a tight ends coach. So in this day and age, let's say Mike Vrabel's available.
Also going to need a tight end or two.
Yes, you need those as well. Again, Mike Vrabel's available. Mike Vrabel could probably fill both roles. He probably can still play, and he can coach.
Let's hire as many former players that have turned coaches who might be able to give us 10 to 20 reps any given Sunday. Because Mayo could step right off the sideline and go in there and bang some bodies around as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so Wilkins is in. Underwood is in. We still need a running backs coach, a tight ends coach, and we're not sure about the wide receivers coach. But everything else seems to be locked up as far as the posts go. And Andy, wrapping things up, we really are in the day and age of the former New England Patriots dominating the media landscape. Julian Edelman announces they're doing a live Games with Names podcast in Boston. It sells out morning of. They have to announce they're going to do a second one immediately the next day. So you'll have like 1,000 people in a theater for a Bubs Edelman podcast 2 days in a row. He's been everywhere. He's been doing extremely well for himself. Gronk, of course, working with Fox, pushes the kick of destiny to the revenge wide right by him. What an awful kick.
Thank you, Grunk. Got my $25 in bonus bets thanks to you.
You son of a bitch. I'd said he was going to make it. I thought he was going to blast it through for Carl. What a tragedy.
You're wrong.
Awful. I mean, even we could make a 25-yard. Come on, Gronk.
Well, if I
wide right as a native of Buffalo, come on.
Yeah, well, you win some, you lose some, and he's lost 2 in a row. But his loss is my gain, baby.
And of course, the man, the myth, the legend himself, TB12, the GOAT, one of the Dunk Kings, who I'd say was in one of the better commercials in the BetMGM spot that he did. It was a cute spot with Vince Vaughn.
I liked
it. Fine. It was
the buzz. I'd seen it earlier, so the buzz was lost, and
certainly good enough to vote this way as opposed to this way. But then I think everyone's favorite, and I believe it was the highest rated commercial according to like the Metacritic and the ad meter ratings afterward. Dunkin' Donuts Dunk Kings ad with Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Tom Brady crushes, gets millions and millions and millions of views, quote tweets, impressions all over social. And on Monday, Dunkin' Donuts announces that they're going to sell the tracksuits. They put them up for sale at noon. They were sold out in moments.
Yep. Did you get yours?
I thought they were on sale on Tuesday. No. I know a few people at the Yum brand, so I might maybe I'll get one. I'll see if I can get one specialty shipped if I promise to wear it for you.
They are hideous.
Oh my God.
And I like orange, and they have a healthy amount of orange in them, but
sure do.
They're hideous. I will say I actually thought the outtakes from the Dunk Kings commercial or whatever they put online were funnier.
Yeah, I love those with Affleck trying to throw a ball with Brady and everything else. Matt Damon, by the way, the unsung hero of those spots. He was so funny. Just remember when I told you I'd do anything for you. This is anything. And when he finishes playing the music and he's like, I'm sorry. Just like undersell it. Like it was just the nuanced greatness of Matt Damon and his acting prowess. So freaking great. But when remember the previous Super Bowl, Affleck and J-Lo did they filmed it at a Dunks in Medford. They did people got surprised when it was Affleck filling your order and there was J-Lo serving you a coffee. A buddy of mine helped produce that, and they made sure to roll for forever. And they chopped that up into a bunch of other YouTube videos and Instagram takeaways and little snackable content pieces. And that crushed as well. So that's 2 Super Bowls in a row. Dunks and Affleck have just dominated. Good for them.
Yeah, we used to win on the football field. Now Boston people win in the advertising game. Awesome. Sweet.
Great. We're great. What was your impression of the Super Bowl? I don't know. The impressions we care about are the ones on social media. Oh, what a fall. What a fall from grace. All right. That'll do it for this edition of Six Rings and Football Things, a presentation of WEEI Odyssey and 2400 Sports, brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel, make every moment more. Fitzy and Hart will be back with you on Wednesday once again with author Jeff Benedict, 4 p.m. live. If you would like to submit some questions and partake in our feedback and chat, our talkback forum with Jeff Benedict, the author of The Dynasty, in advance of the Dynasty miniseries premiering Friday on Apple Plus TV. If not, you can enjoy it and share it with your friends right here on the Six Rings and Football Things feed on Odyssey, Spotify, Apple Pods, or wherever awesome football talk is found. For Terp, for Hart, for Fitzy, this has been Six Rings and Football Things. We will talk to you soon. We're officially on to the 2024 football season. Good day. God bless. Dunk Kings. And as always, go Pats.